Hello everybody, this is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. I'm going to be doing a small lecture for the benefit of the fourth year students of the Home Bible College. This is lecture number 28, and the proposition is this: that the Christian evangelist may encounter opposition outside of the church to his ministry for a while. This is not uncommon, and it can cause quite a shake-up in the community where he is working. Now you'll notice that this particular point is similar to last week's lecture, because last week we were talking about the Christian pastor. Pastors also can suffer opposition, but today we're talking about the evangelist. Now there's always opposers to the Christian evangelist's ministry. Sometimes it's a lot of opposition and sometimes it's very little. In England today we have a situation in which, mainly because of suffering in the past, that Christian preachers, evangelistic preachers, have a great deal of protection from persecution, but that was not always the case. So the first point is the Christian evangelist may find this a very disconcerting, especially if he doesn't realize that this phenomenon can take place. A lot of evangelists don't realize the opposition that they might face. Secondly, there are those who have favorite false concepts which will need to be corrected in the minds of unbelieving hearers, and some people get very upset when things in which they assume are the cornerstones of their thinking become questioned. That's a very big problem. People get very, very upset when you tell them that actually, no, what you've been thinking about all these years isn't quite right, and that is something that can create great problems in people's minds. And there are opposers who like to talk about trivialities. They'll talk about church ministers they've known, about the services they've seen, about the Bible, about what they think about healing, about what they think about cricket. There's a million things that they like to talk about, which are really quite trivial, and sometimes they're a complete distraction. Anything that is within their understanding, and anything to avoid thinking about the gospel. So that's the point, you see. There are people that will oppose the gospel by doing that. Remember the incident when Stephen was being martyred in the Bible, and it says they stopped their ears and ran upon him. They didn't want to hear anymore. They got to the point in which they could not bear to hear his words. Now there are also those who don't openly oppose the evangelist, but they spread scandalous reports behind his back. They're afraid to confront him personally, and they stir up people to cause a fuss. That's very, very common indeed, and it takes a lot of humour, it takes a lot of grace, and it takes a great deal of prayer for the Christian evangelist to be able to overcome issues of this nature. And then there are people who will resort to violence because they cannot bring an answer to the points of the gospel being made. Now, all measures must be made to diffuse difficult situations or difficult confrontations, and much unnecessary opposition can be avoided. It can be avoided in lots of ways. It can be avoided by humour. It can be avoided by the manner in which the person speaks, the evangelist speaks. It can be avoided by his whole disposition. But of course, opposition can't be avoided 100%. And it can take a great deal of patience in the evangelist to enable him to begin to think and to help people to think new thoughts. That's very interesting. Sometimes opposition can turn very nasty, and we remember the words of Christ. He said this, he said, "Be harmless as doves and wise as serpents." So there we are. So that's some thoughts that I leave with you today, and I wish you every blessing. And for those of you that are involved in evangelistic ministry, our prayers are with you. This is difficult work, especially if you're really getting through to people. Well, God bless you, and catch up with you again next time. Bye for now.